Episode 0.
Episode 0.
It's like the prequel episode.
No one's gonna listen to it.
Nobody's gonna listen to it. Hopefully not. I don't know. Maybe.
That's okay. I mean, it's all right. It's just like in D&D when you have a session 0 and you establish setting and themes and
Who
whatever.
are these characters, right?
Yeah, it's nice. Okay, I had a question for you, Eric. So, I was thinking, and one of our first like interactions was you inviting me to come to a live haunted house.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and you were like, "Oh, come on, it'll be fun. Like everyone's going," and I was like, "I think the fuck not," and I did not go. But I realized I don't know. Why? Why do you like horror? What is it about it? Because I think you've been a horror fan the whole time I've known you, right?
Yeah. I used to be like super, super scared as a kid. Like everything, like Nightmare Before Christmas. I wasn't that edgy kid because I was scared of it.
Okay, let me tell you. I have bad news for you.
Oh no.
That scared me as an adult.
Oh. It's valid. It's a spooky movie.
I don't like stop motion. Something about stop motion, like the texture of it, makes me want to barf. That's how I felt when we were watching Dark Crystal too. Like if it's textured, I can't like look at it. My lizard brain abhors it.
All right.
So anyway, keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
No. All right. How dare you? No, but like everything scared me, and then I think I started like dabbling in horror in like high school.
Nice.
I don't know what set me over the edge. It was like I always liked spooky shit since a kid. Like I got in trouble a lot during I used to be going to Catholic religious education on the weekends.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I got in trouble because like on our whatever assignments for religious education, I would just like kind of fill it out and then flip it over to the blank side and start drawing. Ooh. And at the time, I had two things I was really obsessed with drawing with: is Spider-Man, because I finally figured out how to draw Spider-Man right with all the webs.
I love that.
And then the Grim Reaper.
Those are the Catholics will not abide. Spider-Man and the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, I don't know which one they were actually angry about now that I think about it. It might have been Spider-Man. So like I've always had like an obsession in that aspect, but like I said, I was always scared. I remember in high school trying to watch horror movies and being freaked out. And then I just like started like I loved that kind of like thrill of it. And so I started chasing that. And then like the more I feel like the more you chase it, some people like retain that, and I'm envious of them because I feel like I've slowly lost that.
You got high on your own supply.
Yeah. Because like I'm at a big changing moment was when I went out to California and I had family out there, and they wanted to go to Halloween Horror Nights. Which
I would like to point out you said had.
What?
Which I don't love at the beginning of the turning point.
Let me finish the story and then you'll find out.
Oh God!
Once you see real tragedy in the family, horror movies are
Eric.
nothing. No, I still do have family.
Okay. Phew.
They're all in comas.
Eric.
No. But no, like, and we went to, like, I remember they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go to Universal Studios," and they have their whole like horror night thing. It's like really professionally done. I was like, "Cool," and then like we got the tickets, and then they showed me the trailer, and I flipped the fuck out. And they're like, "Well, we can't return the tickets," and so it's like, "Fuck."
Oh my God!
Like, all right, I'll do it.
How old were you?
I had to be like 16.
That's respectable.
Yeah. And so we went, and I made it through the first. My cousin was like, "This is the easy maze. It's not that scary at all." It was Wolfman. I don't know if you remember, but like,
I didn't see any of this shit.
It was like, yeah, we could establish that. What we have seen and not seen, and how well.
Oh, my list is so short. Don't worry.
But yeah, it was like a weird, like pre-Dark Universe Wolfman movie with Benicio del Toro, and they made a maze out of it. And like it was just fucking I was terrified, like the wolf noises and the makeup and everything. And I don't think I made it through any other maze that night. And I think I went through like there's a back lot with like clowns, and that's about it.
Oh no, that's the worst.
Clowns with chainsaws.
No. Ugh.
And so then I think by the time like around then is when I started really getting into horror movies. And
After that, you're like, I must become what I hate.
Yeah, and then I think it was like 17, 18, I got into my super edgy phase of just like, I'm gonna watch the most fucked up movies out there.
Ew.
Like your Antichrist and Human Centipede, and like only briefly looked at what the Siberian film is or whatever that movie is. Oh
shit.
Yeah, and so
I've read the plot. That's not good. Did you watch that?
No, I did. That was like that. I think that was when I like stopped. Like I was kept on
Yeah,
watching
there's
these
some
movies like
like stuff
martyrs.
with a baby in that movie that is like
Yes, yes.
very
And there's
bad.
like a specific like verbiage they use for it that I got so
Ugh.
revolted. I was like, no, that's not the horror I like. And then like I balanced out after that, and now I'm the man I am today.
Wow, good job, Eric. I'm very proud of
So
you.
thank you.
That's a great journey. I'm really glad you haven't seen that movie because I don't think we'd be friends anymore.
I don't think I would be. I don't know what like because I was in like film school at the time too, and some guy was
Oh
talking
man.
about it, and he was just explaining the plot to me, and I was like, oh no, like this is not okay. I don't like this.
Yeah.
That's and
So
I don't think that's
what is it that you do like?
um. I mean, it's still that thrill I try to chase. There's very few movies I feel like today that like get to me. Like the ultimate goal of like a horror movie for me is if I watch the movie and then come home or like I guess turn off the movie at night depending on where I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
And I go to bed and I turn off the lights and then all of a sudden I'm like I kind of want to turn back the lights on.
Oh
I'm like
no.
too scared to like I'm like when that little fear.
What's good about that for you?
I don't. It makes me feel
Earnest
alive,
question.
Jamie. It's the only time I.
Oh my god. Is that's the real answer, I think.
That's the real answer. I feel nothing until I get that thrill. I don't, it's just like
Oh
why do
no.
people go on roller coasters? Like why would you want to feel that velocity on your body? There's something about uh like humans just not having that like adrenaline in their everyday lives.
You
And they
want
have
to
to
get
like seek
chased
it
by
out.
a lion, and no
Yeah.
lions are around, so you have to settle for the werewolf.
Yes, I think I read an interview with a famous horror actor who recently passed away, Sig Haig, and that's how he described it.
Really?
It's just like our primitive cave minds are just like, hey, like I gotta go like kill this mammoth, and like that kind of feeling, like we don't get that anymore, other than like maybe crazy Arizona drivers almost
Oh my
hitting
god.
you.
The
But so we
boomers.
have to seek it out somewhere else, like roller coasters or horror movies. I think they're very like
I think that's
similar.
valid. I think that's a very normal reason. Like I think that's like the standard reason.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're fun too. It's like such a diverse community and genre, and it encompasses so much. And since it's always on the fringe, it kind of explores a lot of things that a lot of mainstream movies don't.
Ooh, taboo.
Sometimes it doesn't fully push the envelope, depending on who's making it. I feel like as we go through this podcast, we'll explore why horror,
Yeah.
why I love it. But because I feel like there's too many reasons right now.
Oh.
But I want to kind of I would like to transition it off of me. I feel like I've talked for years.
That's the whole point.
Jamie, what interests you about horror?
You don't have to say let's transition it off of me every time.
I'm not going to say it every time. This is an introductory course.
All right. So I thought you would get a kick out of this. When I was a kid, when we would go to Blockbuster, I would always try sneak through the horror movie aisle and like look at the cover art. And then I remember, I don't know what the movie was, but it was like the cover was like long fingernails, like grody looking fingernails. Do you know what movie that is?
Grody fingernails.
Like
Was it
long finger, like finger length fingernails.
I don't know. I don't
Whatever,
know that
I'll
movie.
try find it. It looked grody,
Yeah.
and that like image is burned in my brain, and I kept trying to like sneak through, and my mom was always like, "Don't look at those," and I was like, "Okay," and then I did it. And so I've always like, I don't know. It's funny because you're talking about jokingly not feeling enough. I will jokingly talk about feeling way too much. I'm like, whatever I marinate in media-wise is like how my brain feels. So I avoided like anything, and I'm very sensitive also. So I've had to like avoid stuff. I don't know. I never was allowed to watch scary stuff as a kid. Like I was the short list of the horror movies I've seen is like very funny, which I'm sure we'll get to. And so I was thinking when we were talking about doing this podcast, I was like, I've been getting more and more interested in like, I think I kind of had a closed mind. I thought people who liked horror movies were just like edgelords, I guess. Like, I don't know, like people who liked them, I was like, I don't know, like get another.
Let's be clear, there are definitely edgelords out there.
Yeah, like the Jack Skellington beanie crew.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
just
I don't want to
alienated
offend
half
people, but I
podcast,
super want to offend them. No, it's fine. This is not for you, Jack Skellington beanie wearers. So I had a closed mind, and I thought that people just liked it to be, I don't know, to like revel in the grossness. But as I've come to know people I really admire who I like think are really smart, and particularly doing communications at school, like media studies is a big thing, and some of my professors have done academic work about horror movies, and I was like, okay, I am interested. And the real reason right now is like, I want to feel scared for a reason, and then I want that reason to play out, and then I want that reason to conclude. Even if the conclusion is like devastation. If that makes sense. Like, I don't know, do you consider yourself an anxious person?
Oh, 100%.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
I think we briefly talked about this off the pod, but like, especially with everything going on right now, I find like, I mean, I've always found comfort, but I find extreme comfort now in watching this sort of explainable or even unexplainable threat that's just happening to these people. And then
that's exactly what I'm looking for. Like, I want to try prove to myself that something bad can happen and I can be adjacent to it, and then it's not gonna like devastate me, I guess, you know? I think I'm like ready in my brain to just see if I can like do it. And this might be a very short podcast. We might have like 2 episodes because I'm like, oh no, just kidding, I can't. So if you're listening to this, that means we've succeeded a little bit. But like, yeah, I think I want catharsis. The ancient Greeks had it right. I want yeah.
Jaime,
what
is this podcast? What is this?
I don't know. It is an exploration into the dark. But I super do not want to watch it by myself, so that's why I was like, no. And I mean, there's like a million horror movie podcasts, right? Like, I listen to a few of them, and some of them have like rules where it's like you can't watch it with someone else, and you have to watch it at nighttime, and you have to watch it without any lights on. Fuck that, absolutely not. So I have hard limits because Eric is gonna. So the premise here, all right, Eric's gonna choose the movie. I am going to read the Wikipedia. Depending on how scary I think the first paragraph is, I might read the entire Wikipedia page. But I might not sometimes. So it depends if I think I can handle it. But we're going to read the wiki, and then Eric has full creative control. And I realized something I really appreciate about you, Eric, is like, I think you know your friends super well, and you're very, very thoughtful. Well, you're the only person I trust to do this, because you have an exceptional gift for knowing when I won't like something.
Yeah, not safe for Jaime. You know?
Yes, not safe for Jaime. You know, it's like, I love it so much because we're talking about stuff. You are also like my only friend who listens to my podcast recommendations, which I appreciate so much. Like, you will just like, I don't know, you just trust me, and we have very similar taste in media except for this. So I think you can navigate this gracefully for us, and I will definitely let you know if that is not happening.
Right. And I'll respect those boundaries and your hard limits, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
But like the whole origin of this podcast is, or like how like we came up with the idea, is that we've talked about horror movies for like a while now.
Yeah.
And it's just like you talk about just reading the Wikipedia pages. And I was thinking like, because like what you said, there's like so many horror podcasts out there, and so many white dudes out there with podcasts. I was like, what would be like the unique angle that I could get into with? And it's just like, I feel like you are like, I'm kind of just like the person to like kind of curate it, but you're definitely like the perspective. You got like a lot of things going for you. I mean, the fact that you like want to like horror movies, but scared of horror movies is very intriguing. You kind of have like a good worldview, so you can kind of see these horror movies through like the lens of like modern context and kind of like evaluate them on those assets as well. Which
you
I think
guys heard it here first. Eric said I'm the only good part of this podcast.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not going to do that. Never mind. Cut that, Mike. I don't want to do like self-deprecation as a bit. I mean, I did it already, but I'm not going to.
Good job, Eric.
Thank you. But yeah, no, I just think it'd be fun. I love watching horror movies with people who get scared because it like tells me when
I am okay, I was seeing a friend's show, at his theater show. What the fuck? His play he was in. His theater show. And afterwards I was talking to him, and another one of the cast members came up to us and said, "You emote so strongly." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "I was watching your reactions during the play." And that is like a nightmare, that the actors might be watching you and not acting. I was like, I'm here to look at you. You're not here to look at me. But I realized I'm like not good at picking up on cues in movies. So I am always surprised. Like, the plot twist will get me every single time. I just cannot see it coming.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I'm always just like, what? Like, I never can clock a plot twist in a movie. So I do think that makes me a good audience member.
100%.
Yeesh,
It's gonna be fun.
Oh,
like
Lord.
the movies we have lined up, like, because there's like movies out there that people like, The Exorcist, for example, which I want to watch.
Yeah.
It's just like people talk about it being like the scariest movie of all time, and like I want to see somebody who's pretty much, you know, can't see things coming and is very emotive.
My fresh idiot eyes.
Your fresh idiot eyes, trademark it. And see if the stuff like holds up, or if like, because I think that horror has like a timestamp on it sometimes.
Really?
And some horror just, if you look at like those old Universal horror movies like Frankenstein and Dracula, I think I think people were scared of them a little bit back then, or like Nosferatu. But nowadays, I don't know anybody who's really scared by those.
The only reason I know who Nosferatu is because he's in an episode of SpongeBob.
Well, that's fair. That's
Yeah.
really reintroduced the classic character.
Also, to be fair, he scared the shit out of me when I was a child. I was like, who is this motherfucker? And why is he at the Krusty Krab? Not a fan of that. Okay, so the hard limits for me are actually not too extensive. If there's animal death of any kind in the movie, if it's a plot element, I don't know, like, if I can see it coming, or you, like, warn me, or I read it in the wiki, but if it's, like, I don't know, if it's, like, substantial to the plot, I don't really want... I'm gonna, like, absolutely not look at it and probably cover my ears.
Right.
I don't know, like, isn't there a scene in The Thing with, like, a dog?
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah,
that's one of the best horror movies, but has one of the most horrific dog.
Yeah, I have a approximate knowledge of many things. So like, I think I actually know the plots of almost all of the movies on our list, or I've read about most of them probably. Also, I have a very bad habit of watching the scariest part of a movie, like looking up what is the scariest part and watching it isolated, which we can talk about when it comes up in movies we watch. I don't know why I do that. I was thinking about when I watched the worst parts of Hereditary, and then I scared the shit out of myself at like 3:00 in the afternoon, and then I texted you, and I was like, Eric! And you're like, why did you do that? And like,
it truly is bonkers.
Mikey came home, and I like started crying, and he's like, what is wrong? What happened? And I was just like, I watched scary parts of this movie! And I don't know. Anyway, I feel like I've already watched Hereditary also. I've read every review about it. I've read the script. I've read all of the Reddit. That's something I do too, is I will like keep an eye on horror movies coming out and wait until their release date so I can read the Reddit threads about them. Which I love.
Just
I
so
love
intrigued
doing.
by them. You're so intrigued.
I think I'm making them scarier.
Scared.
Yeah, I think I'm making them scarier than they actually might be, too.
I think so, because I mean the imagination is wild and could probably conjure up. I don't know about Hereditary though. I think Hereditary might be scarier.
I couldn't visualize the car scene. I couldn't visualize what it looked like. I had no clue. So then I watched it and I was like, oh shit. But like I do want to watch it, I think. That
is a special movie. I mean, that's like probably the last movie that got me, and it was a great. I mean, horror movies are great in theaters too, because like you get those moments where like the entire audience, you can just feel like are shifting in their seats and like freaking out a little bit.
Especially that movie, I can imagine, like with with the lighting and stuff. Okay, we'll get to it. We'll watch that someday. But animal death, no thank you. Sexual violence, I like. Again, I guess if it's in the plot for a reason, which I don't love, but, like, I don't want to watch, like, hot babes get raped and murdered, you know? Like, I'm not, you know, which I feel like is...
that from the list.
Oh, shut up. Shut up, Eric. I feel like that's a whole genre of horror film, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
My work gets a bunch of, like, free copies from an undisclosed distributor. And most of the time, it is just, it's, like, a mixture of, like, porn and just like really fucked up horror movies that are just like gore and porn.
That's a nightmare.
And like sometimes there's Nazis involved. It's not great.
What?
That stuff. That's where I'm like, I mean, you do have. There's a company called Troma, and they specialize in low budget like fucked up shit.
Didn't James Gunn work there?
Oh yeah, that's where you guys start.
Huh.
But
Interesting choice, Disney.
yeah, the tweets were what got them, not the fact that he worked on much more controversial movies.
Yikes.
But yeah, so I do have a special place in my heart for Trauma and Toxic Avenger, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I shouldn't say that. But yeah, there's some real bad stuff out there that are just like, I mean, a lot of 80s movies
Yeah.
and 70s grindhouse and like exploitation movies just really used rape as a element of the movie.
Yeah, and it's not even like, it feels gross to even say it's like for a purpose, but it's like, I was reading about the last House on the Left.
Yeah.
Yeah, the like 70s version of it the other day, and I was like, that fucking blows. I was just like, that does not, none of that sounds good, and it all sounds stupid and bad and gnarly for no reason.
And I could be corrected on this, but I think that like we haven't, I mean, it's definitely like was a male dominated genre for a while.
Yeah.
And kind of continues to be. Definitely continues to be, but it's just like you saw like that in the 80s a lot. It was just exploiting women and not really giving them a voice or character.
Yeah,
it was just like an opportunity to show boobs.
That's great. That's something too, and that's like crossing the wires in a really weird way for people too, which I don't think is good.
It's just like you want to shock people, so you throw murder at them, and it's like, okay,
and
let's
boobs.
equal the murder. I mean, I think we've started.
Wow, what is this podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, I trust your judgment, and I also reserve all rights to look away from gross stuff and to read the wiki and to see the spoilers, and then we'll figure it out from there. But there's some, I want horror with a purpose, and I want to emote, and I want to be scared, but I don't want to be like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean. Yeah, you get it. Like, I don't want it to be, like, gnarly for no reason.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have any, like, squicks? Like, something that, like, really, really grosses you out? Like, one particular thing?
Ooh, that's hard. There's definitely, like, things that get to me.
Like what?
Or more effective to me. Well, okay, so if you just want to go like at like a basic element in movies that always get me, it's eye stuff. If you got somebody getting stabbed in the eye or poking in the eye or clipping an eye, that always gets, I don't know, like you could do whatever you want to legs and arms and whatever. I shouldn't say that, but pretty much,
you're like, please leave my legs and arms alone, but also mostly my eyes.
But mostly my eyes. Don't touch those. That's horrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just like, I think it might be the fear of the unknown always gets me. So there's like, if you do a good ghost movie, that can get to me. Because like I think people mostly know that if you go and see like a Friday the 13th movie, Jason Voorhees isn't going to be under your bed at night for the most part.
Yeah.
But there's like that little part of just like that unseen ghost thing. And you go home and you're like, maybe there's a ghost.
Oh, so it's like if you can't see it. Is it like, is it possession or is it ghosts?
No, possession's where they lose. I don't know. It's like, because
we're going to find out.
We're going to find out. Yeah. Because there's a few horror movies that like Conjuring got to me. That had some spooky stuff in it. We can talk about that later, though. There's this movie called Lake Mungo, which isn't even like a straight up horror movie. It's more of like a documentary, but there's something about that lingering presence. Ew. Even if it's like not malice, just like having that like
is it like Blair Witch style?
It's more like, I don't know, like, do you remember in like the early 2000s, like it kind of like there's ghost hunters and ghost adventures, but there was like that also like more documented series where it's people discussing their past like hauntings.
Oh,
and sometimes they recreate them.
I didn't engage with any of that.
yeah. There's like this slew of like all these, like, I can't remember any of the names of them right now, but it's like families being interviewed and they're talking about, oh, I was at this house and then I got haunted, and they'll do like recreations of it.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Kind of like it like takes that, but then like has like footage of the house and the haunting instead of doing recreations.
Ugh.
But yeah, again, it's just like, it's not spoofing on that. It's just taking that element and like playing it. It's like, because a lot of these things are bogus, but it's like, what if we just played it serious because it's a fictional movie, and they do that and it's horrifying and like Halloween and great. We have to watch it. It'll be good. Also, on top of all that, like creepy little girls with black hair got me. And I think it's specifically,
you're fucked, dude. How do you watch any movies?
Well, it's specific. I remember. I don't remember because my mom was very like reserved in what I could watch, but somehow we got to go see a movie, and the Grudge 2 trailer was
Holy
playing
shit.
before the movie. Like,
Wow.
I don't know what this movie was, but like that just like horrified. I remember like I had my ears covered, I had my eyes covered, but I still like peeked a little bit and just saw
Oh
enough.
no.
And so we got those like that wave of The Ring and Grudge when we were growing up.
Are we
and
gonna watch those?
I would be down to watch those.
I just
it gets me,
spoiled the
though.
whole plot of The Ring today. I actually never knew the plot, and so then I was reading about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I know the whole thing. A lot of horse stuff in that movie, huh? A lot of horses.
Oh, not good for horse girls. Horse girls avoid The Ring
at all costs.
at all. I can make like a little quick list of just horror movies to avoid for horses.
Oh my god. Okay, that is a good bit for.
There's only 2 that come to mind, and The Ring's one of them.
What's the other one?
Brothers Grimm,
Oh,
which was a movie
that was
that,
recent, right?
yeah, that was also early 2000s,
Oh, okay.
and my grandma took me to see it.
Way to go, Grandma.
And the horse had like spiders in its mouth, and it swallowed a girl.
Oh my god, no, what? A girl?
Yeah, like the spiders like
No!
infected it, and its mouth opened up wide, and I was all cobwebby.
Oh, there's like horse shit in Hannibal too. There's like a turducken with like a horse and then a man and then like something else and then a bird.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid. I don't remember the it was dumb.
I don't know what it says about me, and I think there's a lot of people out there who could relate to this, where it's like I can watch so many people be murdered on horror movies, but the second an animal gets hurt, it's like another level. Like,
well,
don't hurt the dog.
It's like it's something completely innocent, right?
Yeah.
Unless
yeah,
it's like
that's
Cujo, but I don't know. Like basically, so something I've dealt with, which is why I've had to be really careful about the media I consume. Like when I asked if you're anxious, I am like anxious with a capital A with all the bells and whistles that come with it. And my brain is basically wired like if I see something even like accidentally online or I like read something upsetting, it'll be in my brain for 2 years. Like
right.
On a loop, just like nonstop, just like anytime I'm, so that's something that I'm trying to like figure out and like overcome it with these movies, but it's also the reason why the animal stuff is in there because I'm like I just like can't do it. Because
that what you just said is what I think makes a good horror movie is when you can see an image, not to just praise Hereditary left and right, but like that scene with her spoilers.
I mean, that's the whole. We're gonna spoil every movie we talk about.
Yeah, spoilers throughout for every movie. But yeah, when the scene with her decapitated head, still haunts me to this day. And but again, it's like it's not real.
Yeah.
So it's just like just replacing probably some other horrific shit that I forgot about.
You just gotta flip through the Rolodex, right? Just like get something fresh in there. Okay, I think you're like. Your big gross outs are like more tangible than mine. Cause I realized like, okay, I had to stop watching Stranger Things. Because I started thinking about my sister being transported away into like alien land or just going missing. And I got so upset I couldn't finish it. Like I had to stop watching it. Like as an adult, I've never watched any of it. Like, I watched maybe 3 episodes of it, and then I was just like, I can't do this. So like,
when you say your, like, imagination kind of gets the better of you and you start applying those elements to your life?
Yeah, or just, like, thinking about something bad happening to someone I love, I guess, or just, like, I don't know. Like, and so I try not to, what I've always done with anything, too, is, like, think about the main character as if I'm the main character. Be like, oh my god, what if that happened to me? And then just, like, make myself really sad or whatever. And you can't do that, because I was really worried about seeing Midsummer. I was, like, so worried about it. Because of that exact problem. I was like, what if something happened to my family? Like, what if but I was just watching it, and I, like, had such a good time watching it. Maybe good time. Actually, no.
Blast.
I honestly had a blast, Eric. I had a great time watching that, and we'll talk about it soon.
Yeah.
But, like, I just kind of reveled in it because that was the first. Yeah, we'll talk about it. But anything like something beyond my control, like I want things to be people's fault in fiction, so I can be like, well, you had that coming, but like sometimes something just happens and you're just fucked. which is why like It Follows really, really. I don't know if I'll be able to. That's why it's on the list of terror, like the big scary list, because just the idea of that and like having to make a horrible choice to get rid of something that, you know, like inflicting something on someone else, or like you suffer through it, or like that grappling, which I know unfortunately or fortunately I guess is such a big theme of horror. So like that's gonna be something I have to think about.
Because I mean, you go from like the lowest level where it's just a single object, like a slasher movie where it's like Jason chasing you,
Yeah,
and you just can't escape him from running away. But he's just a dude, and then you get to like ghost stuff, which is like a little bit more harder to deal with, and then it gets into like the
you're
cosmic
cursed.
horror.
Oh, you're cursed. Like, where do you go to get rid of a curse?
Like Drag Me to Hell, yeah, where that's very much a movie where it's just a person who is out, like just hopeless. Then the whole theme is being hopeless.
Yeah, that really stressed me out.
Fucked up.
That really stressed me out. I was like,
don't be mean to old witches. Don't read books that you find in Latin.
Oh my god.
And the basic slasher things, you know, don't do drugs, don't have sex.
Nice.
Don't have fun.
Don't fall in love.
Don't fall in love with the slasher. It does in one movie. Yeah.
Oh shit. I think something too, like when you were saying horror's like a or for a long time was it like a white guy genre. I think something that got me interested too was like Get Out. I really wanted to be able to watch it, but I was really scared, so I just read all the spoilers about it, and I have seen it. But like people moving.
I do want to clarify real quick. I when I said white guy dominated, I meant that's like who was making the movies.
Yeah.
I think there's a huge community of women and other people out there who like love horror movies, which is like a beautiful embrace of all these people kind of uniting with it. Because I mean, you often don't see too many horror movies where like a lot of it, like the main people are females. Usually, like the action movie genre, it's male dominated. But like in you have the final girl trope, and stuff like that. So I don't know. That's another element that like I just would like to see another perspective on, because I am that white dude. But like if you look at it, if you go to these like horror cons and stuff like that, there's just like so many women out there too.
I heard what you meant. I heard you. I think it's getting like really smart, and I also think horror more than any other genre like reflects what's going on in society at the time. Like when we were talking in media studies, one of my professors would always point out that we had so many zombie movies when the recession happened in 2008, because so many people were just like moving through the world, like didn't have any agency in their life, and you know, like the horrors of that were reflected in that genre. And I was like, whoa, like that. I had never thought about that before. So it really opened my eyes. And I think culturally it really reflects like what's going on at the time. And I think horror is really smart. Like, not that it hasn't been smart before, but like recently in the last few years, the stuff that I've been most interested in, I'm like, that is really, you know, it's really saying something. And I'm sure it has in the past. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure it has in the past too, but I just don't know about it. So I'm excited to find out.
Yeah, it's been through and through. I mean, like the key example that everybody usually points out is like Night of the Living Dead. I mean, that subtly kind of dealt with like race issues in it.
Yeah.
I mean, and then George Romero kind of did that throughout the rest of his movies too, with consumerism in the 80s and whatnot. But I think like, yeah, it's just like, it's like taking real life horror, translating it into a movie, and then like making it consumable and enjoyable at some level.
And scareable and spookable.
Yeah, it's spookable.
Spookable. I wanted to ask, okay, so I have a very bizarre list of horror movies I have seen. Are there any like that you, I don't know, like I don't want to ask how many movies you've seen, because you've basically kind of like seen if you've seen a Siberian film, you've like seen him. Or like if you have approached that movie, like you have seen, I don't know, Saw, right?
Yeah, I've seen Saw.
Oh, I've seen Saw.
Oh.
I don't know how to ask you that question, I guess, but like,
what is the question that you're trying to ask?
Like, what horror movies have you seen? But you've seen, which ones haven't you seen? I guess like.
Well, there's 10 movies I haven't seen.
Nice.
No, I mean, I always feel it's weird. I talk to like one group of people, and I feel like they're like, wow, you've seen so many movies. But then there's just like those people that are like above me who've seen like every movie. And I'm just like, I'm constantly trying to reach that. I feel like there's always that one guy or person out there who's just like seen like a little bit more movies.
No, it's a guy. You can say it's a guy.
Yeah, I've met them. They probably work at where I work, and there's just like I've never can reach that level. But I think I'm pretty well versed in the genre, and throughout the decades, I really like history, and I really like just like learning about stuff and dissecting it.
Nice.
And horror is one of the main things I love. So definitely,
dude, you should have been a comm major. That's all we did all day. It was really great. It was a delight.
Went to marketing instead. Damn.
Boo. We ended up at the same place.
But yeah, so I feel like I've seen a lot, but I haven't seen everything for sure.
Do you want to hear my list of movies I've seen? Which is really
100% want to hear the list of movies.
It's so stupid. Okay, I have seen Premonition with Sandra Bullock at a sleepover. All I remember about that movie is a creepy swing set, and then her husband's head. He gets hit by a truck, and then his head falls off.
Just his head.
Yes. Like, it's two separate things. Like, he gets hit by a truck and you're like, oh my god, and then he's like, okay, and then his head falls off, and I don't.
Oh wait, separately? So he gets hit by the truck and then he's fine, and then the head comes.
Yes.
What?
Speaking of absolute bullshit, I have seen one of the Final Destination movies. I don't know which one.
Final Destination 2, Final Destination 3.
It's the one where there's like a really elaborate gymnastic setup. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen this movie?
I've only seen a few of those movies.
Oh my god, it sucks. There's like dripping water near an electrical wire. Like there's like 5 fake outs, and then she just like trips and then snaps in half like a taco.
I think those movies would have done better. I mean, they've done great. There's already like 7 of them. But like if they took the perspective of death and his like whimsical take on like his elaborate schemes of how to kill them.
I like that. Yeah, I didn't like watching it. And it's really funny because it hard cuts to the next scene and she's like, wow, it's a bummer about Candace, like one of the other girls. And so that has stuck with me. Saw that. I saw The Village.
Okay.
Which this was at the same sleepover.
What a genre of movies
really honestly formative for me as a preteen. I have not seen Nightmare Before Christmas. And in theaters, okay, I have seen Midsummer and I saw Ready or Not. And I read the script for Midsummer before I saw it. So I was like prepared, and we'll talk about that more. I knew the spoilers about Ready or Not, but obviously the premise is pretty clear, but I didn't know the ending.
That was a great movie to watch with you.
Oh my god.
Because they're in the beginning, you were just like, this guy sucks.
My god, he sucked.
Yeah, he does suck. And I was just like, well, I guess the movie doesn't realize it. And then, spoilers for Ready or Not, it realizes it. So that's good.
Let's do that movie. Let's do that down the road. I want to do some rewatches. I think that's it.
You said you watched Prometheus.
List. Oh my god, yes, I watched Prometheus. Yes, I saw it, and I'd never seen Alien. I still have never seen Alien. Never seen any of the movies. I went to go see it in high school. Horrified. It was awful.
The movie's got a lot of it, yeah.
It was gnarly. And I didn't know, too. I was like, wait, what the fuck? Because I love sci-fi, so I was like, oh, it's just sci-fi. No, it is not sci-fi.
No.
Am I forgetting anything? I think that... Oh, I've seen Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
I've seen The Cabin in the Woods. I enjoyed watching that. The end freaked me out, but it wasn't too bad. And I've seen Get Out. Okay, see, I did forget some. I have seen Get Out.
You're got your own slew of movies you've seen. You're a connoisseur.
It's a real weird handful. I watched Get Out with my cousins in South Africa, which is like a really weird setting to watch that movie because they were like, "Hey, shit's not so hot over there, huh?" And I was like. Yeah, it's not really. It was just a really weird context. They're like, so this is America, huh? And I'm like,
I mean,
yeah.
Now,
I'm like,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yes. So that's it, I think. It's a short list, 2 in the last year, and then the other ones were all by accident.
So you haven't purposefully tried to start watching horror movies until
Midsummer.
A year ago.
Yes,
yeah.
Until a year ago. Yeah, and then
which was kind of the catalyst of all of this. I mean, like to the point where we've gotten to this podcast now.
Yeah.
because you've known that I've liked horror movies, but then I remember when that was coming out. I mean, even when Hereditary was coming out, you were talking about that, and then Midsummer, something attracted you to it.
I read the script and I texted you about it, and then you were like, "Do not fucking spoil the script for me."
That's right. You said you read the whole goddamn script.
I did. Well, the actual movie was a lot less scary than the script because they took out this whole like animal sacrifice scene, like a whole bunch of shit that I was like, absolutely not, and they took all of that out. And I was like, excellent. So I don't know if it's in the director's cut. I really hope not.
We're going to find out.
I know. I guess that brings us to, okay, what's our first movie? Is going to be Midsummer.
Director's cut.
Director's cut. So this isn't following format perfectly, but I really want to watch it again. And so we're going to... How long is it? Do you know? It's long.
It's got to be. Because Midsummer was already long. I feel like it's going to be over 3 hours.
I think Midsummer was 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
The director's cut is 171 minutes. How long is that?
So that's 3 hours and 17 minutes.
Nice. That was really good math. How long was the original?
I don't know. Yeah,
see, I think...
do that real quick?
Yeah, I will. Like that. Yeah, we have the internet. We never have to wonder. Midsummer is 2 hours and 18 minutes. It felt
another hour?
Another whole ass hour. It felt like an eternity.
A whole hour. That movie does feel long.
It felt
I mean, we
so
shouldn't talk
long.
about it too much, but
no,
yeah.
I know. Yeah, we'll talk about it soon. I can't wait. I am delighted.
Me neither.
I can't wait. Eric, I think that's it mostly, right? Oh, so we'll just like move through. So you will talk about the movie on a real episode and give some trivia and talk about, you know, like why you picked it, and I will ceremoniously read the wiki paragraph and then determine if I want to read the rest of the spoilers. We are going to give content warnings as well, just in case any other chickens are listening who want to enjoy the delicious, delicious spoilers, but they do not want to be surprised unpleasantly by something. Yeah. And
I do like the idea of calling our fan base chickens.
The chickens! I think it's really bold of you to assume we're gonna have a fan base.
Well, I ordered that entire stock of t-shirts already. So.
Oh no.
it was too expensive to get both our faces on the t-shirts though, so I just got my face printed on it.
I do remember, I would like to recall everyone of you saying I am the only good part of the format.
Yeah, but I'm the face of the...
Ooh, Eric! So I'm the heart and you're the face? We'll discuss this off air. Our theme song was written by Anthony Erdo of The Grand Prix. You can hear more of their music at thegrandprix.com. Follow us on Twitter at Horrorscope Pod with 2 Ds and Instagram at Horrorscope Pod. Your horoscope for the day is, it's not too late to turn back. Just kidding. Of course it is.